Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Kroll's weekly threat intelligence briefing for the 18th of August 2025. My name is Ryan Hicks, and joining me this week is Ethan Alfrey from the threat intelligence team. So this week, I'll be covering a quick look at Microsoft Patch Tuesday, WinRAR vulnerability exploitation by KTA 394, also known as ROMCOM, an update on the XZ Utils backdoor from a year ago, the new group, KTA 487, or also known as COMrades. And Ethan will be covering CHARON Ransomware and the collaboration between several well-known threat actors. So it starts off here looking at Patch Tuesday. So Microsoft has fixed 118 vulnerabilities in August's patch cycle and Microsoft Edge releases. Microsoft assessed that none of the addressed vulnerabilities were exploited in the world, so no 0 days noted. There are 31 critical vulnerabilities, 44 elevation of privilege vulnerabilities, and 35 remote code execution vulnerabilities. A full list of all of the vulnerabilities and their related CUSS score can be found in this week's report. There's nothing really to additionally report on these vulnerabilities for this month. But as usual, we'll continue to monitor for any exploitation and report accordingly. Next up, there have been reports of a recent 0-day vulnerability, which is CVE 2025-8088, and it affects WinRAR version 7.12. The vulnerability carries a CVSS of 8.8, which is high, and is a path traversal vulnerability affecting the Windows version of WinRAR. And it also affects the WinRAR component and command line utility unrar.dll. So exploitation of vulnerability has been seen, and it uses alternate data streams for the path traversal. And the attack chain that was seen in the recent campaign was by KTA 394, as I mentioned, also known as ROMCOM. And they used a phishing email, which had an archive file attached to it. And when opened in WinRAR, the victim would only see a PDF lure file in the archive. However, there were additional files hidden in the archive in the alternate data streams. When the archive is extracted, the malicious files were copied to their designated directories. In this case, there was a malicious DLL and LNK file extracted to a temp directory and Windows startup files. But again, the victim would only have seen that lore file when they opened to try and verify that attachment. And the following exploitation, the actor deployed several backdoor families, including Snipbot, Rusty Claw, and Mythic. And it targeted, the group targeted the finance, manufacturing, defense, and logistics sectors across Europe and Canada for this particular campaign. And following disclosure, as I mentioned, it's a 0-day previously, the vulnerability has since been patched, and that is the patched version is 7.13, so recommended to patch to that version. And moving on to this first one at the top here is really a quick update of a year-old story. So back in March 2024, the XZ Utils backdoor, which was designated CVE 2024-3094, was disclosed. There have just been reports identifying that 35 Docker Hub images still contain that malicious code. So this persistence is tied to Docker Hub's retention of historical images, as well as Debian maintainers' choice to keep vulnerable builds. The backdoor itself is a long-running supply chain attack that intercepts OpenSSH authentication, potentially enabling remote code execution. So although this is quite a small figure really in the overall amount of Docker images that do exist, this really just highlights the potential persistency of these supply chain attacks via the code repositories that we do see so often in these kind of supply chain attacks. And second here on the screen, and lastly for me, Bitdefender Labs released the reports on the new threat group, COMrades, that we track as KTA 487. Bitdefender believe the actor aligns with Russian interests, targeting judicial, governmental, and energy organizations in Georgia and Moldova. They believe the group acts or aims to maintain long-term network access, indicating it's likely that Bitdefender observed significant dwell time in the cases that they analyzed and reported on. The group uses stolen credentials to facilitate espionage and data exfil, and that's gained from NTDS database dumping or LSAS dumping. They're also observed using several malware families, including curlcat, Muka agent, and rurat malware families. With that, I'll hand it over to Ethan to take us through the ransomware roundup.
Thanks, Ryan. A new alliance has emerged in cybercrime as ShinyHunters, Scattered Spider, and LAPSUS are collaborating on extortion attacks. This supergroup is connected to the wider The COM Collective, a known decentralized network of experienced English-speaking criminals. ShinyHunters, traditionally focused on large-scale data breaches, has shifted its tactics. They are now adopting Scattered Spider's highly effective social engineering methods, including targeting phishing and using fake login pages that mimic legitimate tools like Okta and Salesforce. Evidence of their collaboration includes shared infrastructure, synchronized targeting of sectors like retail and insurance, and overlapping domain registration patterns. They even launched a Telegram channel, Scattered LAPSUS Hunters, to boast about attacks. Their primary targets are Salesforce customers, with plans to expand to financial services and technology providers. Notable victims include Google, Louis Vuitton, and Chanel. While French authorities arrested 4 individuals, including ShinyHunters, the group claims these were false arrests, suggesting an associate may have been caught. ShinyHunters has also declared that Breach Forums, a platform they manage, is now a law enforcement honeypot. Next slide. Thank you. CHARON Ransomware has been deployed in targeted attacks against the Middle East public sector and aviation industry. What makes CHARON particularly concerning is its adoption of advanced persistent threat level evasion tactics. It leverages a technique called DLL sideloading, where it uses a legitimate browser file, edge.exe, to load a malicious mseg.dll known as sword LDR. This malicious library then deploys the CHARON payload, often injecting it into an SVC host executable process to masquerade as a legitimate Windows service and evade endpoint security controls. Once active, CHARON performs highly disrupted actions to maximize its impact and hinder recovery. It terminates security-related services and running processes, systematically deletes all shadow copies, and empties the recycle bin to eradicate backups and restore points. For efficient encryption, it employs multi-threading and partial encryption techniques, rapidly compromising large volumes of data. A key indicator of its targeting nature is the custom ransom note, which specifically calls out the victim's organization by name. While its DLL sideloading methods resemble those of the China-linked Earth-Baxia group, definitive attribution remains uncertain, suggesting possibilities of direct involvement, deliberate imitation, or independent development. Thank you.
Thank you, and that's all we have for this week. If you have any questions, please contact us at cti@kroll.com. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.